Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. It is October 17th of 2025, and the sky is falling. I don't know what to tell you. The sky is falling. um, I'm kidding, sort of. There are some things to consider, some things to go over. I'm going to start this video by saying flat out, I'm concerned. I don't know what I don't know exactly what's going on. I have my ideas. I have my contention on what I think is happening right now. And I'm going to go over a lot of them. And that's going to be it. I don't know what to say. I will start by saying this. If the market conditions right now have you really truly rattled and really concerned, especially if you are at any point of break even or even potential profit, it wouldn't hurt if especially if you're in a position where it could be hurting you. If you've invested more than you can afford to lose and all of that stuff, it might be a good idea to pull some of it out until you know more. Okay, because currently, everything has been falling so dramatically, especially since this crash. And I know it looks like crypto.com, I guess, is apparently suing Binance right now, from what I've seen on X, because of everything happening. And I there's so many different stories floating around about what caused the initial crash, right? But and a lot of people are saying, oh, this is like Luna and this is like the FTX crash. And but Luna and FTX happened in a bear market anyway. So the downside pressure was already building, was already there. Now, some could argue that is very much like what's happening now. I do not. I'm just going to put it out there, and I could be wrong. Okay, I do not think that this is the end of this market. I just don't, and there are a lot of reasons for it, and I'm going to cover them. I don't think that this is the end of this market. So, that being said, let's go ahead and look at what I'm talking about. And all right, so here on the left, you're going to see Cardano's chart. And it's just been in a decline for quite a while. I mean, this was the big dump where we were sitting pretty, in hindsight, we were sitting pretty around 81 cents. And we got this huge dump all the way down here into the 27-cent range. Now, on Coinbase, if I understand it correctly, Coinbase didn't even drop below 60 cents. And I don't know if that was because they knew that this was a fake situation and they put a stop to it, but they froze assets and you weren't allowed to, as I understand it, you weren't allowed to buy and sell. Now, I could be wrong. I don't have any, I've seen comments and things, and I know that was kind of the case on most exchanges. I also know that because of that, I was refunded because I was in a 4x long with added margin, and I was liquidated along with everyone else in the world. And basically what happened was a lot of the exchanges have refunded us. And this is the only thing I'm going to say about this. I wasn't losing that much. I mean, I lost a chunk of change, but I didn't lose enough to try to burn the world down or anything. There was some back and forth between myself and Benjamin Cowan. And, a part of me used Ben, I think, is a frustration. I vented a little bit, I think, and I directed a little more than I think was necessary at Ben. I've always liked Ben. I've always respected Ben. And, when everything was happening, I'm reading about, this guy offed himself in his Lamborghini because he had $80 million liquidated. And, I'm reading all of the stories of all of the people who, lost 7 figures, 8 figures And then I would just see Ben's posts like, look at me, I'm so great, I'm so smart, I called it, I told you so. And like, I just thought, man, and I just had this visualization of him just literally dancing, surrounded by just chaos. And I just, it hit me so hard and so wrong, not because of my trade. My trade was a fraction of what I hold. It was just, I was, some of those posts were getting me emotional. And then I thought, man, like what kind of person just, uses this as an opportunity to inflate himself. And I went hard on Ben. Now, the other side to that realistically is Ben has been damn accurate for the longest time now. The way he's studied Bitcoin dominance and how it affects everything and the ebbs and flows of that is unlike any other. And in the midst of a lot of that, he does say a lot of things that piss a lot of people off. And that's, I mean, he said things that have upset me because I'm like, man, you're totally going against everything I'm hoping and praying for to change my life, man. That's not his fault. He's just calling it as he sees it in the charts, the way we all do. He just sees things differently. And he's been more accurate than most of us on a pretty consistent basis. So it is what it is. I just think that at the time it was the wrong thing said. Literally, it felt like every 10 minutes it was a new post. And, but it is what it is. He was right. And it doesn't necessarily matter. A lot of people are like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, some of us would say, well, Ben didn't predict this crash. Ben didn't predict this, whether it was an issue with Oracle, price basket, price action data, whatever on Binance. Like, we don't know exactly what caused it. We just know it was kind of a black swan event. We seem to have one of those pretty much every market cycle, like clockwork. We don't know what caused it, and Ben didn't predict that. But here's the thing. Ben did predict exactly what Bitcoin dominance was going to do, what Ethereum's dominance against Bitcoin was going to do. And he did that based on historical price action, historical dominance, basically historical data that he studied like a crazy person, right? So it doesn't really matter so much how we got there. And I think that is the ultimate question. It's not whether or not Ben predicted the cause of the price action or the cause of where things went. It's the fact that he had the foresight in the charts, whether he threw bones and knew how to read them or whatever, he was accurate. And so that's kind of the scary part, right? Because it goes to show that there is so much orchestration around everything that happens in the crypto space for one reason or another. So, and I posted on X, he posted something about Solana, me making statements about Solana or whatever. And I was like, okay, I don't even know where you're going with this. It doesn't really matter. A lot of people were saying, oh, Crow got bodied by Ben and this and that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Congratulations. I've said a lot of shit about Solana. I stand by it to this day, but I'm not, I've kind of made a vow to myself where I'm not going to dump on Solana anymore either. Because honestly, I guess in the grand scheme of things, the point of this whole thing that I'm getting at is that it doesn't really matter how you get there. If you get there, you're there. And that's really what it boils down to. It doesn't matter if it's Solana. It doesn't matter if it's Ben Cowan's dominance predictions. I mean, if we end up where people expect or think they're going to go, I mean, there's a rhyme and a reason to how we got there in a predictable fashion. Does that make sense? So, and since we had that thing, I noticed that Ben's post, I mean, he made some self-deprecating posts that was kind of like he was almost laughing at himself a little bit for going overboard. So it's not like he didn't recognize that things were just not really good timing. It's not like I'm trying to be the asshole. It's just, and I saw he messaged me on Telegram and then he deleted it before I had a chance to read the whole thing. But it is what it is. I don't have any bones to pick with Ben. I still like Ben. I just realized and I know the only other thing I'm going to say about that is I know a lot of people joke that I'm probably autistic. It's very likely Ben is. I feel like everybody is to some degree, right? It's just a measure. It's a spectrum like everything else, I think, in the world today. So it's sometimes we do things where we don't understand. It doesn't click with us that we're at a funeral, probably shouldn't fart. It's you just things that socially we just probably know, most of us know better. And then some things it just doesn't click. And I also understand that, when so many people are just flaming you, trolling you, doubting you, the first opportunity you get to say, I told you so, it's almost like tunnel vision in a fight, right? You don't see everyone around you. You just see that person's head and you want to hit it. And that's it. And then you realize afterwards, oh yeah, that wasn't a smart move. That wasn't very compassionate. But again, I'm over it. It is what it is. The reality is that Ben was right. Kudos to Ben. And I listen. I call it as I see it, for better or worse. I'm always right sometimes, and I have not been right about where we're going in this market as of right now. Now, a little bit of what I think is happening. Okay, number one. When you have a dramatic crash in a market like this, whether it's orchestrated, artificial, a fluke, it doesn't matter. It wiped out all of the liquidity below price. Okay. If I were to pull up, and I don't have it all set up on this computer, but if I were to pull up the liquidity heat maps for Cardano, all of the liquidity is sitting above Cardano at $1. And the concentration, and now there's even a concentration of liquidity forming around the 73-cent range. And that wasn't there at all, a few days ago. And the thing is that when something like this happens, the market has to rebuild. By rebuild, I mean, what do you think would happen if after this crash, everybody came back to work and decided, well, the price it can't go any lower than it is right now after this fluke wiping everybody out. It's up only from here, right? That was the initial sentiment of everyone. Everybody thought, okay, everyone was liquidated, we're going up. No, that's not the way the market works. Because if that were the case, and everyone in the market is long, what does the market do? What do the market makers do? What do the financing banks do with the market makers when everyone's going long and what's supposed to be potentially a blow off top of the bull market cycle? There's no money in that. There's no market in that. There's no volatility. There's no movement. There's no nothing. And then at that time, then all of the market makers are doing are basically making the market to the upside to benefit everybody that longed after such a major move. No, they have to make you fear the market again. That's all there is to it. There is no market without fear after a substantial crash and a liquidation of all price and all liquidity below a certain price target. That's all there is to it. So the only way to build that market and rebuild the market is to induce levels of fear in the public and get full capitulation to believe the market is over, everything is done, we're going down. And then everybody starts shorting. Any of the traders out there that believe, okay, you know what, this might be it. The timing is impeccable. Everything is situational, and it's pointing that we're going down further from here. And then we do. Right? We do go down further. We do. You're right, Mr. Short Man. You're right. Oh, you're right. Feed us. Feed us, because we're going to be pushing the market at some point, sometime when you least expect it. I don't know if there's ever been a time when, just as an example, Cardano has ever gone up at a time I actually expected it to happen based on what was going on in the market. I feel like if my memory serves me, I would generally wake up and realize Cardano just shot up $1. It would just happen. And then all of us would go and say, well, that's Cardano doing Cardano things. It goes up when everyone expects it to go down, or it goes up when, nothing else is moving, right? And that's just been the nature of Cardano specifically. But I will say, and I haven't watched it, but I'm probably going to. I want to see what Ben Cowan has to say about where we're at right now. I know I saw something where he predicted that Ethereum was going to be on its way up to $5,300 or something to that effect. And I think he's trying to just kind of give some hope to people. Now, this was a couple days ago. I don't know if that's changed. But I basically have been watching Bitcoin's dominance against, the market against Cardano. And when Bitcoin's dominance goes up, everything else comes down. When Bitcoin's dominance comes down, everything else rises up. And it's just this back and forth thing. So the point I'm trying to make in this is there is also so much happening, and there are so many things lining up for an elongated bull market cycle. If cycles are even a thing anymore, which I'm at a point where I just don't buy it. I really believe that once institutions get into a market, they tame the volatility, they tame everything that retail has established as the expected of the crypto space. And I think that that's what institutions do. These institutions are building teams, staffs, companies based around these ETFs, these spot ETFs. The volatility and the man hours, the time it would take to have to deal with everybody flooding in and flooding out with the ebbs and flows of the crypto market cycle would probably drive any ETF crazy. Think about it. It's volatility in the crypto space is, it's just not good. It's just not good. It looks like we just got a red X on that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but a red X on Cardano on a 15-minute. And that's with my market cipher indicator, but volume is very low. So, I'll just show you. I forgot I'm on YouTube. But yeah, you can see we got another red X here, but we also got like a red X here and it didn't do much. And then we got this one, which ended up being a big spill. But that was the volume the volume grew quite a bit. But yeah, we're at 61 cents. How low do we go? I don't know. I genuinely don't know how low this is going to get. But you can also see over here that Bitcoin's dominance rises. And also I find it interesting that, Bitcoin dominance gets back up to about 60%, and then comes down basically half a percentage. And in that, so much price action changes, right? And this is all also as the market makers, the markets are rebuilding the markets, inducing fear, making everybody freak out, making a lot of people sell to get out of the market. It's limiting the amount of leverage trading that's going on in the market, which honestly is probably a good thing right now. And so, we'll see. We came all the way down here to 59 cents. We're at 61 cents. This is probably a big fake out to the upside to get people to, oh, okay, we're going back up. We're going to go long. Nope. And then it's going to come back down here and liquidate those people. And this is probably going to keep going for a little while. I don't know. We're very likely going to have like a Friday trap, which is general. And typically what happens there is, now this could be it potentially. This could be the Friday trap before we go lower, or we could get a big wick to the downside before we start going up. But my guess is, given the fact that they're rebuilding this market right now and dominance hasn't really moved very far from any particular direction, I'm going to expect a little more downside. So why in the midst of all of this insanity and just like, this dumpage that's going on, this induced fear, all of this, why do I still believe that the bull market is here? Like, why do I still believe in a future? There are a couple things. Number one, and I'm going to show you some stuff here in a second. Number one, because I understand that they have to rebuild the market after that big crash. So like price action right now could be literally all over the place at all times until we've got some like basis for a market. And then at that point, we could have the potential to start rising up again. I do believe that these 4-year cycles could very well be kaput. Now, keep in mind, I didn't expect Bitcoin to peak until December, and I didn't expect the altcoin markets to potentially peak until February. All right. Now, those of you that watch this channel a lot know that that's basically been my sitting prediction for quite a while now. I definitely didn't see this crash happening the way it has. I honestly thought we'd be at like $2 by the end of this month, right? But this changes things. Well, what else is changing things? What else is kind of ushering things forward and pushing things into later in this quarter and earlier into 2026, if not even further into 2026? Well, there are a lot of things happening. So let's go into the status of some of this. Now, there's a lot that's happened just in terms of the government. Of course, I've got this up on Grok. Let me see if I can reduce the font size a bit. There we go. That's better. All right. So basically, I was asking Grok, where are we with a lot of like the regulation, the laws, and what's going on as it relates to crypto, right? So there was an executive order promoting United States leadership in digital assets. It was issued on January 23, 2025. The key provisions of this is it establishes the president's working group on digital asset markets to develop a comprehensive regulatory framework, mandates a report on digital assets, which was released August of 2025, outlining pro-innovation policies. The status is in effect, report issued and guiding ongoing policy. So this is basically like laying the outline of what they anticipate putting into effect over a period of time during the administration, right? Establishing of the strategic Bitcoin reserve and United States digital asset stockpile. This was back on March 7th of 2025. Creates a Federal Reserve, no sales allowed, and a stockpile for other digital assets held by agencies. Requires agencies to transfer holdings to Treasury oversights within 30 days and develop budget neutral acquisition. Budget neutral meaning they're not having to spend new money, right? They can reallocate resources from one thing to another, and start acquiring, or they can just seize it from like hackers and different, like people doing bad stuff. They can, if they have crypto, I guess they seize that. And they can add that to the Treasury. It's currently in effect. Treasury offices established and assets transferred. Okay. Now, democratizing access to alternative assets for 401k investors. This is a big deal, and I don't think a lot of people really talked much about it. August 7th of 2025. Directs the Department of Labor to revise rules allowing cryptocurrency and other alternative assets into 401k plans, reversing prior restrictions. So now everyone with a 401k can start basically investing into crypto assets. And likely a lot of that investment is going to come through the form of ETFs. We're going to get to that in a minute. Now, congressional efforts have focused on stablecoins, market structure, and anti-CBDC measures with strong House support, but Senate hurdles. Now, guiding and establishing national innovation for U.S. stablecoins, otherwise known as the Genius Act. It passed the House and the Senate in July of 2025, signed July 18th. This established the first federal framework for stablecoins, 100% reserve backing with U.S. dollars, treasuries, monthly disclosures, strict marketing rules, AML compliance under Bank Secrecy Act, and priority for holders in insolvency. Aims to boost U.S. dollar demand and combat illicit finance. It has been enacted into law. Regulations are being finalized by the Treasury moving forward. The Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, introduced in May, passed in the House July 17th, but it's waiting on the Senate. Well, what's happening right now? The government is in shutdown because apparently the Democrats want like $1.5 trillion or whatever to just give away to people that shouldn't be here. Apparently, I mean, that's basically what it seems. And they're saying until the Republicans are going to sit down and talk to them and basically give them some hope, they're not going to open the government back up. It's like, give me what we want, or we're going to take our ball and go home. And it's sad that we're in this kind of a situation. It's almost like, the left really created such an extraordinary problem by opening the gates, inviting everyone over and saying, come on over illegally. You don't have to go through our systems. And we don't care if you're a criminal. We don't care what you do. Just come on over. And now, the current administration, unfortunately, is forced to clean it up and to fix the situation. And this isn't a race thing, folks. This isn't even really a political thing. The politicians are making it a political thing, but it's not. If you live in a home and somebody else decides that they just want to start letting people into your home to live there, force you to pay for them, and you say, but I don't want these people here. I don't want to pay for them. They're not my responsibility. There is a sense of entitlement to that, I will admit, okay, because many of us in America have grown extremely entitled. And I mean, so much so that even the people that are calling out the entitlement of other people are probably some of the most entitled people I've ever seen anywhere. Okay, let's just be real about it. But the truth is that we have systems in place specifically for legal immigration to make sure that we're not bringing criminals in from other countries, either whether they're on the run, they've done really bad shit in this country, they're trying to escape here. That's why a lot of that stuff is in place. And we've seen a lot of the repercussions of just letting people flood in. But on top of that, we have to pay for that. We have to pay for everything that we've been paying for. Nice hotels, food, room and board, cell phones. Now they're wanting to do medical insurance and all sorts of things. The entire thing was against the law, right? And obviously we say, give us you're sick, you're poor, you're that. Absolutely, man. Like, absolutely. I'm all for it. I love diversity. It doesn't sound like it, but I love diversity. I love being around a complete mixed bag of people of all races and all cultures. I love that because I love learning about other cultures, how other people live. Like moving to Puerto Rico was eye-opening. Just the sense of family. Like we made friends there, and they would bring their entire families to our house and bring food and just cook in our kitchen, and you're like talking, and the whole thing was awesome, right? But the reality is that when it comes to a government trying to do something like this strictly for political gain, to establish new voters for themselves because their old voters are waking up to reality and saying, no, this is going a completely different direction than I ever anticipated. I'm not with this. I'm going over here. And then, they're like, well, we got to come up with some new people because this isn't working out. We got to get people, maybe they don't even know what we're saying on television. They don't care because they speak another language, but they're going to vote for us because we're flooding them with all these benefits, and let the taxpayers pay for it. That's just not cool, man. I'm sorry. It's just not cool. And so they want us to pay a lot of money, and they're saying we're going to shut down the government. We're going to keep it shut down until we get what we want. We need your help. We need you to work with us to further our mistake rather than us help you resolve it. And that's where we're at. They can say whatever they want on television, on news, the pundits and the talking heads and the people paid to represent, our politicians on television, and say whatever the hell they're paid to say. But ultimately, that's what's going on as I understand it. Now, that's just my opinion, I guess, but that's what I see. So all of these ETFs, Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, introduced early 2025, passed the House in July, and it's waiting for the Senate. It's referred to the Senate Banking Committee. No further action reported as of October 2025 because they're shut down. Nobody's doing anything right now. And it's sad that now we're having to redirect funds from other departments, other efforts, R&D, whatever, to basically cover the expenses of our troops and just basically a lot of these government employees, while we're basically just buying time, and the Democrats are basically just saying, yeah, we're going to sit and wait. Give us what we want. We're not moving. And it's kind of like a no, I don't hear you. And it's just like, it's so insane. It really is insane. And I know that they're trying so hard to try and brand this as as basically anything other than their own doing. But I think even the people on their side of the fence right now, and I say right now because the pendulum swings. I mean, the Republicans could be the dastardly bastards of tomorrow. We just don't know. It goes back and forth. Let's just be real about it. it's honestly why this like cult-like mentality associated with either side, it's a fool's errand, man, because the pendulum does swing, and it's like, maybe the current administration really does want to help everybody, and he's trying to do a lot of things, while the other side is trying to just say whatever they possibly can to just demonize them so that people don't like approve of what they're doing, because politically it doesn't go well with the current agenda. But I mean, if you want to talk about the agenda, you can look at, CBDCs and how they're being utilized already and how they're being adopted in like the UK and other countries, China, right? How they're being tied into social credit scores and how people are basically being made homeless because they said some things or did some things. You can see in the UK, I don't know how many people are going to jail every day because they just post something stupid on the internet, and then all of a sudden the police are at their house ready to haul them off to jail because of I mean, they don't have a lot of the same freedoms that we do here, but they also don't have the Second Amendment. And that's ultimately what the Second Amendment is about. But lo and behold, that side of the aisle is also doing everything they can to try and get our Second Amendment gone. Like they say they're not, but it's just like taxes. When they started taxes, it was only supposed to be like 0.25% or 1%. And it was only going to be temporary to pay for the war at the time. And now look at where we are. Everything is taxed to hell in a handbasket. All that money is squandered all the time, constantly. And they're like, oh, well, we don't want all your money. We don't want half your money. We'll never do that. And this is temporary. Don't worry about it. That's how it always starts. It always starts with a little bit, and then it's never enough. And we see that across all politics. You give an inch, they want a foot. You give them a foot, they want a mile. And it just keeps going until you're on Mars. The goalpost is always being moved, right? And so this whole thing it's irking, but we're in such a transitional period right now. And once the government comes back, we should start seeing more activity in a lot of this stuff. The Retirement Investment Choice Act introduced into the House, no committee action yet, early stage, but aligns with administration priorities. All of this pro-crypto stuff that's basically sitting idly by waiting, and that's what we're doing. We're just sitting and waiting. Now, quantitative easing. We're at a point right now where we know that we are putting an end to quantitative tightening and we're reducing interest rates. That's a big, big deal. We're very likely entering for the first time in this market cycle, we should be entering a period of quantitative easing. Now, I don't know if it's going to be this month, next month, or when exactly it is, but I know that everything else is winding down in the other direction in favor of lower interest rates, quantitative easing, and that sort of thing. We've never had a bull market cycle without quantitative easing and lower interest rates. Interest rates are starting to come down month after month. The point I'm making is literally every metric, everything that we see is pointing to 2026. People have been talking about a 2026 bull market for absolute ever, okay? But literally everything is pointing to that. Whether it's the pro-crypto regulation, pro-crypto laws, Stablecoins Act, Clarity Act, quantitative easing, lower interest rates, gold is peaking. Generally, gold, if it establishes an all-time high, which it has, and it's been running quite a bit lately, a lot of that value starts to flow into risk-on assets. Once interest rates are lower, everything starts to come down and everybody starts to feel good again, right? And so then they start taking their value out of gold and putting it into more risk on assets because they're more comfortable. Interest rates are lower. There's more liquidity flowing. There's more, just the markets overall are better. Gold is a hedge against basically collapse of everything. And when people are unsettled, they're not sure what's happening, they accumulate gold. And so that's another element to this. That's why gold has been rising, because of the uncertainty and what's going on. How are these tariffs going to change the world? Is this a stupid idea from Trump? Is this a good idea? Are we going to make money? Are we going to be in a better position? Or are we not? What's happening? And a lot of that is playing out right now. So when does gold generally flow into more risk on assets? That's basically what this is all about. It's talking about how, when when everything gets better, everything flows out of gold and into more risk on assets. And this just talks a bit about Terra Luna and the FTX crash, because ultimately the thing is, now where is that? Yeah, this was when Luna happened. Okay. So this was your first peak around April 13th. I mean, I called the peak of that market April 13th on that same day. Yes, I did say this is my Ben Cowan moment. I called the peak of the market, and I said it was going to be a double peak long before it happened. And I also, at the time back then, I'm pretty sure, I don't even remember if Ben Cowan was around then, but I always say, but I could be wrong. And that's what I said when I called the 2 peak cycle, is I could be wrong. It's still out there on X, by the way, if you people don't believe me. But anyway, then we got our second peak here, and then we started into our bear market. And Luna and FTX both happened in the bear market. FTX happened basically towards the bottom of that bear market before we started turning around. And so, it's not like we were in a parabolic run. We weren't in the last legs of a bull run, and then we got Luna and FTX that basically sent us down. We were already working our way down. So, it's interesting that this is the point where these are weekly candles, right? And so it's interesting because you've had a bright green moving to the upside, then the next week is red, and now we're down further gray. This moving average here basically, it'll, by the time this comes down, that comes up. I mean, it'll probably be somewhere in the low 100s, $100,000. Now this here, let's see if I could fit this all in. Yeah. It's interesting because you can see here that we cross over that green, cross over the green, cross over the red, cross over the red. And then this third one here, right? So you got this green, you got this green. We started touching on that. We did the same thing here, and we went sideways for a little while. So this was basically over the course of a month and a half before we started rising up into that second market peak. This could very well be playing out between now and, I don't know, February of 2026. We could very well be establishing this similar price action and momentum right now that we did last cycle. This could have been a test run. So I guess overall what I'm saying is that literally anything could happen. But I just don't think that this is the bottom. I just don't. I think that there's so many things happening right now in the world with regulation, with like just the laws and everything associated with crypto. I do believe we are in the middle of a global transition, and it's being split into 2 halves. You've got one half that's all about globalism, control. They want to control everything you do, you say, you think, and they want you to use CBDCs, which is programmable money, it's centralized. They have all the control. And then you have the other half that's all about like decentralized blockchain, Bitcoin being a store of value, reserves, all of that, right? And it's almost like it's right versus left. And unfortunately, the left want to control everything, man. I mean, they just want to control everything. And it's like some people on the left are going to say, "Oh, Crow, you're crazy, man. I hate you. I hate you. I hate your basically their TDS starts showing. And it's like, listen, I say it all the time. I just call shit as I see it. And I feel I am as self-aware and understanding of, like, I always put the shoe on the other foot. Sometimes it takes me a minute, but I always try to consider the other person's perspective. And I always try to think fairly, not just, oh, well, I feel this way and I'm just gonna, I'm always trying to be very, very aware of like, well, why would this person do this? Or why would this person say that? Or why would this person feel that way? Because I learned through that. I learned, and sometimes I make mistakes, right? And I learned through the experiences socially. But if there's anything that we've learned, I mean, if we see, have you ever watched a Democratic Socialist Convention rally? Have you ever watched that? The way they're just constantly trying to control each other? It's laughable. Oh, please don't clap. They don't clap because the sound of clapping is triggering. or abrasive to people, or aggressive. I mean, it's like literally every little thing. Like you just have to stand there like this and like, and it's insane, man. It's absolutely insane. The problem is that when you look at some of these folks, their level of control amongst one another is so extreme that what they're being introduced to politically is nothing. Oh, we want to monitor everything you do, say, and spend, and where you spend your money and all this other stuff. Okay, that's cool. Hell, I just made somebody not clap yesterday because it was abrasive to me and my well-being or whatever the hell. It's all insane. It's all crazy, man. And it's like, I feel bad for some of these people because you do know they're just not all there. I mean, I'm just going to, it is what it is. They're just not all there. And I sympathize to some degree. But I don't know. Let's go ahead and look at comments, and you guys can flame me for speaking my mind today. Let's see. The right is also controlled. Yeah. I mean, I don't really think there's anyone in politics that's not controlled by somebody. I mean, let's be real. You don't generally get voted into a political office without donor money. And generally that donor money has a string attached. We're going to give you this money, but if you get elected, we want you to do this for us, or we want you to change that for us. I mean, that's what politics is. It's all legalized bribery. Lobbying, that's all bribery. That's all that is, man. Our political system is just, it's all a system for bribery through and through. Nobody's denying that. We need to be aware. Let me see why I can't read this. We need to be aware of everyone looking to push CBDCs and not let them turn an inch into many miles. Right. I mean, but that's the overall goal. And it is kind of scary. Have you heard of Palantir? Want to talk about monitoring? I am familiar with Palantir. Isn't that it's like a young guy who creates military weapons or something, and a lot of like military future tech? Was one of them recently on Joe Rogan? I for whatever reason, I think I saw a thumbnail of a guy, and that's what it was about. I'll have to go watch it because I haven't seen it yet. But I think he was the founder of Palantir, if it's the same person. But yeah, I mean, everything is about controlling everybody, but left is all about control, more tax, more regulation, more government programs. Yeah. And I just saw something recently talking about the UK and how they don't want to use crypto, something about money laundering. Like, we're not going to utilize any asset that is responsible for money laundering. And I'm like, so what do you got then? What are you going to do? Your cash? You think that's the way? Like, the narratives that they try to use to basically push crypto down is so insane and such garbage. And they have to know that everything is on blockchain. Like, everything is traceable. They have to know this. It's just not the system that their reign is built from. So they want to keep it away. Hope it's not expanding the powers of CBDCs. It's a uni party controlled by people who are not American. I mean, that could be true too. Conservatively liberal, that's cool. And listen, I still have friends, and there are a lot of people in my world that I love and respect that are Democrat or liberal or whatever. I don't judge anybody based on their like political title, right? Because that doesn't really mean anything. I feel that if you were to take the bulk of either side of the aisle, right? If you were to take the bulk of Democratic voters and the bulk of Republican voters, they could all be at a barbecue together and have a great time. I truly believe that. It's the fringe extremists on either side that create all of the chaos and all of the bullshit for everyone else, make everyone think that everyone agrees with these extremists, and then the media expands on that and furthers that narrative. That's the truth. They take the actions of the few. The media takes the actions of the few, creates the narrative that's everybody on that side, Do I think that everybody in my family that's a Democrat is out at Antifa rallies wearing furry suits, dancing around the streets and lobbing like Molotov cocktails? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's what they're doing. I have friends of all walks of life, and I know that they're not all breaking out in like furry orgies after a big rally or a big protest, right? Like it's just not what they're doing. I just, and you know, this is, the whole thing is so insane to me, and I'm so tired of the media allowing the most extremist minorities of either side speak for everyone else on that side, and then furthering the division by which we all judge each other, demonize each other, and then pull out all options for an actual conversation. You know, I mean, that's a big part of what's happening, and that's all due to propaganda bullshit, man. You think Trump needs money? No, I don't think Trump needs money. It's sad. I'm depressed. Yeah, it's sad. Ben was around back then. Yeah, I can't remember, man. He's definitely been around a while. I can't remember when I first reached out to him, but I reached out to him. I mean, he had a few thousand, maybe he had like 13,000 followers on YouTube, something like that. And I would bring him on the channel and talk to him, and totally different person back then. But you know, I think YouTube popularity can definitely change people, for better or worse. I guess it just depends on how you're wired, but Palantir is becoming Big Brother. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look more into Palantir because I don't know much about them, honestly. Palantir founder is Peter Thiel, not a young guy, a complete egomaniac. What? Then I'm thinking of a different company. I'm thinking of something else. Interesting. Crow is definitely more of a feeler than a thinker, not a value statement. Humans just tend to be one or the other. I guess I would agree with that. I think my emotions definitely. I mean, listen. I mean, I was very much. I guess you could say a Democrat when I was younger. I mean, I've never registered to vote. I mean, I just don't. I know a lot of people are like, "How dare you? You should shut your mouth." Then doesn't mean I can't have an opinion. I just don't. I've never felt that voting. I don't know, man. I feel like you're just putting yourself on a list, and I just don't know that I want to be on that list. Whatever that list is, just not sure I want to play a part in it. But yeah, I don't know, man. I probably am more of a feeler than a thinker. I mean, I think differently, I think, than most people anyway, if I'm honest. And I definitely have my own way of going about things. So, UK is a shit show right now. You're not allowed to hold more than 20K in stables. You know, every day I look at anything related to the UK, I just scratch my head and I'm like, how does anybody look at what's happening there and say, yeah, we want that in the US too? I mean, it's all the same agenda pushed by the same people at the top and filtered down through the politicians to make it all happen. So if you want to know what the left in the US want to accomplish, look at the UK. If you like what's going on there, then you're good to go. And you know, that's, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think that people really want that here in the US. So, it's Peter Thiel, very libertarian billionaire who literally wants to create AI monitoring of everything, very 1984 and very much in line with Trump and the administration in order to establish what? Very 1984 and very much in line with Trump. Trump is the polar opposite of that. I'm not sure if you're. Yeah, I don't think I understand that. Trump has banned CBDCs in the U.S. It's the exact opposite of what he's trying to affect in the U.S. So that comment doesn't make any sense at all. It's like reading. I can't tell if it's like a TDS comment that's like not meant to make sense, or if there's something to it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look up more. But I'm familiar with the name Peter Thiel, but I'm not familiar enough with him. Like, does he have an open relationship with Trump or something that I'm not aware of? Hey, Crow, I usually love your attempt at bridging the gap. Today, I felt you got more into the rhetoric of them. I do it too. That's definitely not my intent. But I do call it as I see it. I mean, I just, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. I'll have to watch it back and understand what you mean. Crow, you need to shift from price prediction to tech review. Price prediction is always right 50% of the time. Yeah. Yeah, you could be right about that. It's been painful. I know it's been painful. And I'm feeling it too, man, because I mean, my whole livelihood is at stake with the crypto assets and everything right now. And it's extremely stressful, but I don't know. It's Friday. I mean, we'll see where we're at by the weekend. I mean, it's 11 a.m. It's still early. It feels like it's 4 o'clock for me, but Democrat Party is a cult that cannot call crazy. I mean, listen, when it comes to politics, I really feel like either side is kind of a cult. We can point the finger at the other side and say, you guys are so this, you guys are so that, but both sides are guilty of the same thing, just for different reasons. I know that, and again, if you take the bulk of either party and put them in a barbecue together, they would have a great time and they would be able to talk and agree to disagree if that were the case. It's the extremists on either side that make us believe that they're a cult. Now, there are people on either side that will vote red or vote blue, no matter who, no matter what. They don't care. They don't pay attention to anything. They don't care. They believe that the world is the same world they grew up in. And those are just the lazy people who are done with it and they don't really care enough. A lot of those people are much older and they're like, I'm going to be gone tomorrow anyway, so I don't really give a shit. I'm voting the way it's done me right my whole life, is what it is. Oh, this is okay. Let's see. Reagan said, if you're not a liberal by the time you're 20, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative by the time you're 40, you have no brain. Wow. Did he really say that? Because it's basically what happened to me. I'm 47. And I really didn't pay much attention to politics until Trump was running in 2016. And I just started noticing like the complete about face. And I'm like, what is happening? It was so weird to me. The whole world loved him in 1 minute. And I've seen him over the years talking about how he didn't want to run for president unless he was forced to, unless he had to. He didn't like the direction the country was going, this and that. And yeah, that's crazy. That makes all the sense in the world, because when I was young, I was very much like liberal. I don't know if but the thing, the spectrum has shifted so much. A liberal, 25 years ago, or 27, 28 years ago, is a completely different thing. Liberals back when I was young, or when my mom was coming up, they were like the flower children, man. They were like just groovy, dude. They were all high on like this, that, or another thing, hooking up in the woods. I mean, like, that was liberal back then. Down with the man, down with the corporate power. It's the polar opposite today. Now they're like, oh, yeah, big corporation, big pharma, all you big corporations, you're going to give us all the resources we want to adopt our new, like, socialistic lifestyle. You're going to take care of us. Yes, we want that. We want that. You're a politician that's going to help bring that in. We want you. It's like everything is completely opposite of what it was back then. Like, just the metrics have changed. The goalpost has moved a gazillion times. So, yeah. Is what it is. Peter Thiel and Trump are pals. Okay, man. That might be. I don't know. I definitely don't think Trump is trying to like usher in 1984, though. Crow, have a great weekend. Since the crash, it's felt amazing stepping away and not looking at price 24/7. Take the weekend off. That's pretty good advice, man. I mean, it's Friday, and it is what it is. It is what it is. All I can really say is I don't know 100% what's happening right now or where we're heading. I didn't expect any kind of peak until December anyway. I just think that, and here's the thing too, and I've showed you guys on this channel. I mean, I have literally showed in the charts how Cardano has risen from 15 cents to $3 in a matter of like 60 days. You know, anything could happen. And I think that the markets are rebuilt. Cardano has aged you. Yeah. Yeah, crypto overall has aged me quite a bit. But yeah, I hear you. And I need a haircut because my hair likes to kick up in the back. But yeah, crypto has aged me. I mean, I didn't have any gray hair when I first got into crypto in 2017. I can tell you that. And but I've learned a hell of a lot. And I've also learned that things like what's happening right now are par for the course. It's just, you know, the market is always doing what it needs to do to freak out everybody, to scare everybody, to fool everybody. And until I mean, I don't know at what point I'm going to look and say, all right, we're done. You know, at that point, it's like the boiling frog, right? We could very well be a boiling frog right now, where we're sitting in the pot, the water's getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and we are just so oblivious. We just think we're about to take a warm bath, and all of a sudden it's bubbling around us, and by that point, it's too late anyway. So I don't know, but I am of the I'm currently still at a point where I do believe they're rebuilding these markets right now for what's coming, you know, next month, you know, November, December, possibly into January, February. That's what I think is playing out right now. And it's not pretty and it doesn't feel good and it freaks everyone out. And listen, if you're at a point where you know, you're at a where you can get out right now and you know, at profit or break even, maybe wait and see. You know, do what you need to do to feel secure and comfortable and not lose anything. And then, you know, wait and see where we go. When do we hit 80 cents again? When do we break above that 83-cent mark? Maybe you can get back in then. You won't have as much, but at least, you know, hindsight is always 2020, man. You know what I mean? And it's just like right now, you're like, I don't know what's happening. I don't want to take the risk. If I sell and it goes up and I buy back in lower or higher, then I'm going to have less. I'm not going to make as much. But then if we go down further, then I'm really going to lose. It's a catch-22, and that's exactly the way it's supposed to be. You know, and that's why I generally focus on the tech adoption, what's going on in the world. I focus on things outside of just the price action because the price action can change on a dime. We could go to $1 tomorrow. We could wake up, you know, a week from now and be literally anywhere in price. In terms of Cardano, Bitcoin can run up 5-10 grand in a weekend and everybody be caught by surprise. Anything could happen. And so I have to have a little faith that given everything that's happening in the government, in the world, and everything else, I just don't think the bottom is in. Or I'm sorry, I don't think the top is in. I do think we're going to go higher. It's just a matter of when and how long it's going to take. Until next time, grow your coins. Thanks for joining me today. If I triggered any of you, well, that's a you problem. I don't know what else to tell you. Start conversating, start talking to other people that think differently than you. Let's get on a more neutral ground, a more central page. Okay. Anyway, yeah. See you guys later. Enjoy your weekend. Go touch some grass. We're all needing it. Literally, we all need some grass right now. I'm going to go touch some. See ya.